Welcome to our chilling video. Prepare to delve into the darkest corners of human depravity as we explore the horrifying life and crimes of one of history's most sadistic serial killers. Albert Fish was born in Washington, D.C., to a family with a history of mental illness. He experienced a traumatic childhood, witnessing physical abuse and neglect, which may have contributed to his disturbed psyche. Fish's own experiences of physical abuse seem to have shaped his twisted understanding of pleasure and pain, leading to his later deviant behavior. Crimes. Between 1910 and 1934, Albert Fish committed a series of gruesome crimes, primarily targeting young children. He preyed on vulnerable and impoverished families, posing as a kindly uncle or a friend to gain their trust. His methods of torture, mutilation, and murder were depraved and sadistic, involving acts of cannibalism and necrophilia. Fish was responsible for at least 5 known murders, but he boasted of committing more than 100. His most infamous crime was the abduction, murder, and cannibalization of Grace Budd, a 10-year-old girl, in 1928. Fish sent taunting letters to the girl's family, detailing the horrifying fate that had befallen their daughter. One of these letters eventually led to his capture and legal proceedings. In December 1934, Albert Fish was arrested for the murder of Grace Budd. During his trial, Fish's defense attempted to plead insanity, highlighting his bizarre behavior and delusional thoughts. However, a panel of psychiatrists deemed him sane enough to stand trial. In March 1935, he was found guilty and sentenced to death by electric chair. Death. On January 16, 1936, Albert Fish was executed at Sing Sing Correctional Facility in Ossining, New York. His execution was marked by the notoriety of his crimes and the public's revulsion towards his acts of sadism and cannibalism. Psychological profile. Albert Fish's psychological profile revealed a deeply disturbed individual with sadistic and masochistic tendencies. He experienced sexual gratification from inflicting and receiving pain, and his acts of cannibalism were an extension of this deviant behavior. Fish's twisted and delusional beliefs were indicative of severe mental illness, possibly stemming from his traumatic upbringing. Legacy. Albert Fish's case remains one of the most notorious in American criminal history. His horrific crimes have been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and films, leaving an indelible mark on the public's perception of serial killers and their heinous deeds. Fish's actions continue to be studied by psychologists and criminologists in an attempt to comprehend the depths of human depravity. We picked up a couple of theories that were discussed in this man's life. Childhood trauma and psychopathy. One theory posits that Albert Fish's traumatic upbringing played a crucial role in shaping his psychopathic tendencies. Witnessing extreme physical abuse and experiencing neglect during his early years could have deeply affected him, leading to the development of sadistic and violent tendencies. It is possible that his experiences of pain and abuse warped his understanding of pleasure and pain, and he later sought to inflict similar suffering on others to derive pleasure from their agony. Sexual deviance and cannibalism. Another theory delves into the connection between Albert Fish's sexual deviance and his acts of cannibalism. It is suggested that Fish's sadomasochistic tendencies and deviant sexual fantasies were intertwined with his compulsion to commit acts of extreme violence and mutilation. The act of cannibalism may have provided him with an ultimate expression of power and control over his victims, reflecting his deep-seated desire to dominate and consume their very essence. These theories are speculative and attempt to provide potential insights into the complex motivations and psychological factors that drove Albert Fish to commit such heinous acts. The true reasons behind his monstrous behavior may never be fully understood, as the mind of a serial killer can be a deeply enigmatic and disturbing realm. We can consider some possible outcomes if this man did not exist. Lives saved. If Albert Fish did not exist, the lives of his victims would have been saved. His sadistic and violent crimes resulted in the deaths of at least 5 known victims, and he claimed to have committed over 100. Had he not existed, these people would have had the opportunity to live fulfilling lives without unimaginable horror and suffering, preventing future crimes. The capture and removal of Albert Fish from society prevented further acts of violence and murder at his hands. His arrest and subsequent execution in 1936 put an end to his terror and ensured that he would no longer be able to harm innocent victims. Impact on public perception of serial killers. The Albert Fish case had a profound impact on public perception of serial killers and their heinous acts. The shocking and sadistic nature of his crimes made a lasting impression on society, fostering a growing fascination with true crime and the study of criminal psychology. Impact on criminology. The study of Albert Fish, as well as other famous serial killers, has provided valuable insights into the psychology and motivations of such criminals. His actions continue to be studied by criminologists and forensic psychologists, contributing to the understanding of serial killers and helping to develop profiling techniques. Cultural impact. Albert Fish's case has been the subject of books, documentaries, and feature films, contributing to the popularity of the true crime genre. Had he not existed, the specific cultural impact of his story might have been different, and attention would have shifted to other famous criminals. While we can speculate about the consequences of Albert Fish's absence, it is important to remember that the effects of his crimes on victims and their families are profound and irreversible. We must focus on honoring his victims and understanding the complexity of criminal behavior to prevent similar tragedies in the future. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey into the dark realm of serial killers. We hope this video has provided you with valuable insights and a deeper understanding of these complex and haunting figures. If you found this content thought-provoking and informative, we would greatly appreciate your likes, comments, and shares